decade, and they're going to come from India.
Downside is that it could potentially wipe us out. But let's start with the upside first.
The upsides are absolutely enormous. The potential uses of this are almost unlimited.
I only discovered AutoGPTs about a week ago and started writing about them. And after I started writing about them, Jeff Bezos followed me on Twitter, and all kinds of crazy amounts of people have been contacting us.
The show where we get you the week's biggest stories from around this world. What is the India story? It's the story of the world's biggest democracy.
We are developing the road infrastructure.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Gravitas with me, Bhairavi Singh. Welcome to the show. Well, on the show tonight, as Israel expands its operations to all of Gaza, what next for Gazans? It's a fight for survival each day, each moment. For Biden too, it's a fight for political survival. And Out with Biden campaign grows. And just who are the Houthis and why are they attacking the commercial vessels in the Red Sea? Is this the latest flashpoint in the Israel-Hamas war? This is our big focus. Also on the show tonight, the UAE climate envoy Sultan Al Jaber is steering this year's COP28 and causing a huge stir with his comments. We tell you why. Fat is as dangerous as tobacco. What a new study in UK tells you. And have the Gandhis failed the Congress? Can there be a Congress without the Gandhis? And find out what's the hottest trend this year. Well, first up on the show, in what could be seen as a major potential escalation in maritime attacks, Yemen's Houthi rebels have struck multiple commercial ships in the region, highlighting the dangers to one of the world's key shipping routes. A US warship shot down 3 drones during the hours-long assault. The Iranian-backed Houthis claim 2 of these attacks. These strikes mark an escalation in a series of maritime attacks in West Asia, attacks that are not isolated but a reaction to the Israel-Hamas war. So how did it start? Well, it started at 9:15 a.m. local time. The US Navy destroyer, the USS Carney, detected a ballistic missile. It was fired from the direction of Houthi-controlled areas. It hit close to one of the vessels. Shortly after, the US warship shot down a drone headed its way, although it's not clear if the destroyer was the target. About 30 minutes later, the American vessel was hit by a missile, and while responding to its distress call, the USS Carney shot down another incoming drone. 2 other commercial ships also reported significant damage. While sailing to assist one of these vessels, the US Navy ship destroyed another drone headed towards it. In total, the US Navy destroyer downed 3 drones in the Red Sea. But this is not the first time the American warship has shot down rockets fired by the Houthis. So why are the Houthis attacking ships here? They say that their aim is to prevent the Israeli ships from navigating the Red Sea in order for them to stop attacking Gaza. But in the name of targeting Israeli ships, the Houthis have been targeting commercial ships as well, impacting global shipping. If anything, the Red Sea tensions are an indication that the war in Gaza could still become a wider regional conflict. In Gaza, the truce is all but over. Israel has expanded its fighting to southern Gaza and ordered swaths of people to leave the Gaza Strip and move deeper into the strip towards Rafah. Hospitals like this one have been bombed again. Israeli military has encircled Khan Yunis and told Gazans to head to the Rafah border near Egypt. Hundreds are dead and injured once again. From north to south, nowhere is safe in Gaza. At least 700 Palestinians have been killed in just 24 hours. It is one of the highest daily death tolls since the war began. For a second day, the Israeli military has targeted the Jabalia refugee camp. Several homes were destroyed. Dozens were killed. More are buried under the rubble. Israel has warned residents in southern Gaza to evacuate, but roads leading to other parts of the city or further south have been completely destroyed. But has this really stopped Israel? And what has happened in the last couple of days? They've been asked to evacuate further south. And as it widens, the bombardment of Gaza Strip, on Monday, the Israeli military declared via social media platform X that it was defining safe areas for Gaza civilians. However, it is unclear whether Gazans received this message, as internet and communication lines are down. Intense air raids overnight have killed more than 100 Palestinians. Israel has also stepped up attacks on the city of Khan Yunis, located in the south, and was previously designated as a safe area. So while the Israeli forces chalk up battle plans for the southern part of Gaza Strip, the reality is that there is no safe place in Gaza. But as the conflict extends beyond Gaza, its ramifications have spread far beyond the battleground. While polls show Netanyahu's own personal rankings have remained low throughout this war, and possibly even beyond it, its staunchest ally, America, is also under attack. President Biden is facing heat from local communities, with a growing rally of Out with Biden campaign for supporting Israel's attacks on Gaza. His administration is under fire for funding and supporting actions deemed as murder of Palestinians at the hands of Israeli forces. This criticism has sparked daily demonstrations, protests, and calls on the Biden administration to exert pressure on Israel. Now, with the US presidential elections a year away, Biden's position on the war may potentially jeopardize his chances of retaining the presidency. Over the weekend, Muslim American leaders in several pivotal states declared their intention to mobilize their communities against Biden's re-election bid. Abandoned Biden campaign gained traction initially with Minnesota Muslim Americans. Since then, it has expanded to states such as Michigan, Arizona, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Florida. These states are significant swing states that could play a decisive role in determining the next leader of the nation. What's worse, on Saturday, the US Vice President Kamala Harris took an opposing stand from Biden when she said too many innocent Palestinians have been killed, calling for restraint. And according to opinion polls, most Americans back an end to Israel's war in the besieged Gaza Strip. It remains to be seen whether Muslim voters would turn against Biden en masse, but small shifts in support could make a difference in states Biden won by narrow margins in 2020. Well, let me now show you a video from India. And this is the Chennai airport. It is battling to stay afloat as Chennai fights Cyclone Michaung. Severe cyclonic storm is expected to make a landfall around midnight. The storm is currently over the Bay of Bengal. It is expected to hit towards Andhra Pradesh coast, where 8 districts are on alert. Back in Chennai, authorities say the city received 24 centimeters of rain between 8:30 p.m. last night and 8:30 a.m. this morning. At least 3 people have died in the city from various rain-related incidents. A 50-year-old male was electrocuted. A 35-year-old was killed by a falling tree. Another body was identified near one of the city's flyovers. As we speak, Chennai streets are flooded. Railway tracks are flooded too. At least 60 trains and 70 flights have been cancelled. We're now showing you visuals from the city's airport. Well, let's play that out again. And airport operations have been halted at least till 9 a.m. tomorrow. Schools and colleges remain closed as well and will be the same case tomorrow as well. Public holiday has been declared in Chennai, also in 3 other districts of Tamil Nadu, where also a holiday has been declared. The state government has asked private companies in Chennai to allow employees to work from home and has advised people to stay indoors. iPhone maker Foxconn has also asked a halting for the production of iPhones in the Chennai plant. Reuters is reporting that Foxconn is yet to decide, whether or not to resume production tomorrow. WION's correspondent Siddharth MP sent us this report.
As the city is being lashed with heavy rainfall, consistently with gusty winds gusting anywhere between 60 to 80 km per hour. So that's the kind of situation that's prevailing here. There is the NDRF on the ground conducting rescue operations and evacuating people from flooded areas. The Indian Army's 12th Madras unit has also been roped in. They are also conducting the operations to rescue people from flooded areas. The Chennai Corporation, the police, they're all on the job to ensure that the damage is minimized. However, there is not much of a respite because this weather system is still yielding rainfall to Chennai and adjoining districts.
Well, there are horror videos coming out of Chennai. Take a look at this one. In this visual, you can see a crocodile crossing the road in Chennai. This video is trending. As water bodies overflow, these animals have come on the roads. Meanwhile, the cars parked on the roads and are also being washed away. To take a look at this video as well. The name Michaung means strength or resilience, and the people of Chennai are showcasing nothing less. In this video, you can see an ambulance driver driving through a flooded road. He is risking his life to ensure that a patient he is ferrying gets the needed help. In another video, a team can be seen rescuing a worker from what eyewitnesses say is a collapsed construction site. And look at how some houses in Chennai look like at the moment. Certainly there's water everywhere. It's flooded as far as the eyes can see. It's heartbreaking to say the least. And we hope Chennai soon gets respite from rain. This is a developing story and we will keep posting the latest here. Well, with the 5 assembly elections being concluded, the path to 2024 seems clear. The BJP swept the polls in 3 states. The Congress decimated once again, raising the question again, has the Congress dynasty been its biggest enemy? The main opposition Congress is a far cry from its glorious past. Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo campaign that was supposed to unite the opposition is also now a failed experiment. Prime Minister Modi's party had a strong showing in these polls, but it's the defeat of the Congress in all the three heartland states that demands attention. The Congress's defeat dashes any notion that the opposition could pose a serious challenge. The prospects of the newly formed 28-party alliance led by the Congress, the party that has ruled India for 54 years since independence, is looking weak in comparison. So what went wrong for the Congress? Let's try to decode this. There was a widespread feeling even before the elections kicked off that the Congress would win in at least Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh. In the end, the Congress was defeated in three states, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh, known together as the Hindi heartland. Now, depending on who you ask, you'll get a variety of reasons. Some say it was overconfidence in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh that led to the Congress's loss. Others say it was factionalism within the Congress state unit in Rajasthan that led to the end result. Still, the party seemed to have harnessed a well-sprung notion of positivity when its former president and Gandhi scion led a massive Bharat Jodo Yatra. Rahul Gandhi walked the length of this country, covering a staggering 4,000 kilometers in about 136 days. The aim was to energize the party cadre as well as attract voters. Many Indian news outlets would have told you that Rahul Gandhi's campaign was a roaring success. After all, he worked hard to revive the party in recent years. Apart from the 135-day march across the country, he also changed the party's leadership. He pushed to form a 28-party alliance called India. The party's victory in the big southern state of Karnataka this year was seen by the party as the beginning of its comeback. That was until Sunday's results came in, prompting the much-needed soul-searching within the party. Yes, the campaign may have helped it win in Telangana on Sunday. It is a key South Indian state. Yet, the overwhelming sense in India is that if the Bharat Jodo Yatra was such a success, the results from the recently concluded polls should have painted a different picture. That is clearly not the case. The Congress lost the elections for a variety of reasons: leadership, messaging, organization, candidates as well. Now, playing out through the local context, and each of these reasons played a part in the results. However, we focus on one more theory today. Could it be the Congress's reliance on dynasty? If all these measures haven't worked, it clearly shows that the Congress is stuck in a Rahul Gandhi trap. There's an overwhelming sense within the voters that the Gandhi family is the stumbling block to the reinvention of the Congress party. Many political analysts have said that if the Congress does away with the Gandhi dynasty, then it is set for a comeback and can take on the Modi juggernaut. They have not been wrong. Time and again, we have seen how the BJP, due to Modi's popularity, clearly has an upper hand, especially in places where there is a direct Congress versus BJP fight. And Prime Minister Modi himself has at many points blamed dynasty politics of many opposition parties for their loss in elections. But it's not just the Congress. Almost all other political parties across the country, including the BJP in some states, have a younger generation of leaders whose parents have been or still are active in politics. Still, the Congress's loss in elections stands out. After all, it is India's oldest political party, and all its heavyweights, known as the old guard, are in their 70s. The latest election results create uncertainty for other leaders in the Congress. They have been accused of nepotism, factionalism, take on such leaders such as the Digvijay Singh, for example. The 76-year-old Congress veteran who wielded considerable influence in Madhya Pradesh was seen as playing second fiddle this election. He, along with another Congress veteran, Kamal Nath, have faced criticism within the party for trying to promote their sons, sometimes at the cost of the party itself. Kamal Nath's son, Nakul Nath, is a sitting MP, while Digvijay Singh's son also was a minister in the previous Kamal Nath government. Now, interestingly, most of these leaders were brought into party fold by different generations of the Gandhis. In many of these states, like Madhya Pradesh, the party top brass invested in grooming these leaders who would lead the party in the future. Long story short, most of them lost their seats in successive elections. In recent years, the Congress has struggled with handing over leadership roles to younger leaders, leading to the old guard versus young guard conflict. This conflict, especially when you are in power, reflects poorly in your ability to effectively handle the government. And so more and more voters lose faith. Above all, the results leave us with the big takeaway. Congress clearly is still out of touch with reality. And with Congress out, who is left to challenge the government on the national level? There is no major opposition, and such a scenario leads us to ask this: what is a democracy without a strong, effective opposition? The Congress needs to go back to the drawing board, assess, examine what went wrong. The other big focus, well, are American defense manufacturers losing out to Chinese companies? I want to point your attention to a report by SIPRI, or the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. It shows that China's top defense contractors have recorded a growth in revenue for the fourth straight year in 2022. The revenue of America's top defense companies, in contrast, has fallen. What explains this? Well, America, remember, is the world's biggest defense exporter for years now. America has used defense diplomacy as a tool of statecraft. Is China coming in the way now? Is it becoming a threat to American business and influence? Let's take a look at what's happening. Well, the SIPRI report draws up a list of the world's top defense companies in terms of revenue. On top, you have America's Lockheed Martin Corporation with arms revenue of $59 billion. It is followed by four more American companies: Raytheon Technologies, Northrop Grumman, Boeing, and General Dynamics. Sure, U.S. defense manufacturers remain on top of this chart, but of the five companies, four saw their fall in 2022. Northrop is an exception, but its revenue remains stagnant. Chinese companies, on the other hand, have had a great year in 2022. While they feature lower in the ranking compared to the US counterparts, their revenue increase makes these companies stand out. Something that's interesting to note is that the Chinese companies entered the SIPRI rankings only in 2015, and in just a few years, 8 Chinese defense manufacturers have made it to the list. Of them, 6 companies have seen an increase in revenue. China's Norinco has ranked 7 in the list of 100. Now, Norinco produces land systems. Its arms revenue rose by 4.4% in 2022. Which countries is Norinco exporting to? Well, Pakistan, Zimbabwe, Democratic Republic of Congo, Canada, among others. Also on the SIPRI chart is the Chinese defense manufacturer called AVIC, or the State-Owned Aviation Industry Corporation of China. It is China's main military aircraft manufacturer. AVIC is 8 on the list. Its revenue rose by 4.7% to $20.6 billion in 2022. The SIPRI report claims AVIC's numbers reflect the quote-unquote increased production of its 4th-generation combat aircraft and fielding of 5th-generation combat aircrafts into the Chinese armed forces. Now, this is the Chinese company boasting of the largest gain in revenue, CSGC, or China South Industries Group. Its revenue went up 12% to $6.5 billion. So what explains the boom in China's defense sector? For the longest time, China's defense companies have relied most of their domestic sales, but over the years, there has been a steady rise in China's security exports. According to the RAND Corporation, between 2018 and 2021, China has exported weapons to 38 countries. Today, China is the fourth largest arms exporter behind United States, Russia and France. In Asia, China is selling weapons to Myanmar, Bangladesh, Nepal. It also exports arms to West Asian countries like Saudi Arabia. In Africa, to Niger, Algeria, Morocco, among others. Now, going forward, there is also a sense that China's defense companies could benefit from the war in Ukraine. Experts point out that while Russia has significantly increased weapons production, the chances are the most of these weapons will not make it to the international market. There are sanctions to deal with, attrition on the battlefield as well. So let's talk about the United States. What explains the decline in revenue of its defense companies? Supply chain problems are one of the big factors. US companies are still struggling to cope with the Wuhan virus pandemic-related supply chain problems. A total of 42 American defense companies made it to the CIPRI chart. 32 reported a drop in revenue. In 2022, the combined arms revenue of the world's largest or the world's top 100 arms-producing companies was $597 billion. The number fell 3.5% compared to 2021. Don't mistake it for a fall in demand for weapons, though. Ever since the war in Ukraine broke out, companies have been racing to weaponize and modernize their militaries. From Japan to Germany, policies have been changed to accommodate the geopolitical changes. In the West, the United States and Europe placed large orders for weapons, specific weapons, unmanned aerial vehicles, air defense systems, artillery systems, missiles, and armored vehicles. Who won? Companies that could supply these weapons and supply them fast. Since delivering weapons and tanks takes more time, normally years, a lot of the revenue from the war-driven purchases will reflect in the next years to come. Some companies are already reaping that benefit. Well, let's shift focus to the United Kingdom. The UK has a problem. Well, a weight problem which is costing the country almost £100 billion a year. Well, you heard me right, £100 billion a year. And the not so great Britain has a crisis on its hand, and it is likely to wreck the Prime Minister's plans. Our next report tells you more about the UK's obesity problem. Take a look.
Britain needs to cut the fat, because fat can be as lethal as smoking. Let's talk about the financial implications of the UK's obesity crisis. One report says that Britain's weight problem is costing the country a whopping £100 billion a year. Obesity is now a national concern in Great Britain. The effect on national productivity from excess weight gain is 9 times more than previously thought. This is what a comprehensive report that the impact of obesity on the country's finances says. Speak to the average British consumer and you would know that Britain is actively urging its ministers to introduce smoking-style restrictions. On what? On junk food, things you and I consume without a moment's thought. Former government health czar Henty Dimpley says that Britain will be left a sick and impoverished nation unless it tackles its obesity crisis. So dire is the crisis that one analysis from the Tony Blair Institute says that the impact of excess weight gain on national productivity is 9 times greater than previously believed. Let's break down the statistics. 1/3 of British adults are overweight or obese. Anti-obesity measures such as junk food advertising are now a no-no. Clearly, the current strategy is not working. The current diet plan across the UK should serve as a wake-up call for everyone, because obesity is here to stay. What is obesity? It is defined as having a body mass index equal to or greater than 30. Obesity primarily stems from one reason alone: our reliance on cheap, ultra-processed food. There is a reason why the Rishi Sunak government is taking its obesity crisis seriously. Because it can cause several other health conditions like heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. So, what should you do? 1. Eat more fruits and vegetables. 2. Try and remove sugar-laden soft drinks from your diet as much as possible. 3. Say no to fast food. Britain's obesity crisis is inspiring as much fear as its smoking crisis. According to data from Britain's National Health Service, or NHS, obesity is one of the leading causes of severe health conditions. The British Prime Minister has responded to Britain's healthcare crisis. Under a new scheme, Britain's National Health Service, or NHS, will explore how drugs can be made accessible to those in need. Will obesity levy the same damage on the people of Britain as smoking? Well, Dimpleby wants to introduce smoking-style restrictions on junk food. Anti-obesity measures are being imposed in full swing in the UK. It remains to be seen how they will be enacted.
Well, in comments seen as verging on the lines of climate denial, Sultan Al Jaber, who is the current president of the UN COP28 Climate Summit, has claimed there is no scientific evidence that phasing out fossil fuels will restrict global warming. Speaking at an online climate event, Jaber made a pitch for fossil fuels, going a step further to say that a phase-out would only put the world back in the caves. Listen in to what he had to say.
And there is no science out there, or no scenario out there, that says that the phase out of fossil fuel is what's going to achieve 1.5. 1.5 is my North Star. Please help me, show me a roadmap for a phase out of fossil fuel that will allow for sustainable socio-economic development, unless you want to take the world back into caves.
Al-Jaber's comments have attracted widespread criticism. Scientists have called them incredibly concerning. Fossil fuel is the most contentious issue that world leaders are debating every climate summit and grappling hard on how and who should cut down fossil fuels. At the most, on Friday itself, at the COP28 summit, Guterres emphasized the need of phasing out fossil fuels. Listen in.
The 1.5 degree limit is only possible if we ultimately stop burning all fossil fuels. Not reduce, not abate, phase out with a clear time frame aligned with 1.5 degrees. So allow me to have a message for fossil fuel company leaders. Your old road is rapidly aging. Do not double down on an obsolete business model. Lead the transition to renewables using the resources you have available.
Now, Guterres had a very strong message for fossil fuel companies. Sultan Al Jaber also happens to be one of them. Jaber is not only UAE's climate envoy, he is also the head of the state-owned Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, or ADNOC. Yes, the leader of an oil company was chosen to preside over the Global Climate Summit. It's ironic, to say the least. That's not all. Leaked briefing documents showed that UAE planned to use climate meetings for its own benefits to promote deals for its national oil and gas companies. Al Jaber, however, has denied these claims. He has even denied his own remarks.
Let me say from the outset that everything this presidency has been working on, continues to work on, is focused on and centered around the science. And I have repeatedly said in many occasions and in many different platforms that it is the science that have guided the principles of our strategy as COP28 presidency.
Earlier in the year, Al Jaber's team was accused of trying to greenwash his image by allegedly editing Wikipedia pages. The team reportedly tried to hype Al Jaber's role in the climate action. This quote was set to be added to Al Jaber and the Climate Summit's Wikipedia pages. Sultan Al Jaber is precisely the kind of ally the climate movement needs. The team reportedly also suggested that editors remove references to a multi-billion-dollar oil pipeline deal he signed in 2019. You see Al Jaber's record has been spotty. At COP28, he tried to highlight the role of oil companies in climate action. He said that this year's presidency made a bold choice to proactively engage with oil and gas companies. But is that really what we need right now? UAE is receiving flack for its carbon emissions. While the entire world's emissions rose by 1.5% last year, UAE's greenhouse gas emissions rose by 7.5%. This is according to an independent group, Climate Trace, which monitors greenhouse gas emissions. And what are the world leaders doing about it? At COP28, 118 governments pledged to triple the world's renewable energy capacity by 2030 to cut down the use of fossil fuels. That draft has also called for the phase down of unabated coal power. It still needs to reach a consensus, and will this be enough? That's the question. 2023 has been a year of wars. World leaders have been distracted by what's happening in Gaza and in Ukraine. The Chinese President Xi Jinping and the US President Joe Biden have both skipped the summit. So the question is, has the fight to rein in global warming taken a backseat? Well, now on to a story of nature's fury. Dozens of towns in Indonesia have been blanketed in ash. 11 hikers have been found dead near the Mount Merapi volcano. 12 others are missing. Indonesia sits on the so-called Pacific Ring of Fire, and Merapi is one of the most active of the 127 volcanoes in Indonesia. Take a look at our next report.
Mount Merapi, an active volcano in West Sumatra province, violently erupted yesterday, sending plumes of ash and volcanic debris over 3 kilometers into the air. This sudden volcanic eruption has resulted in tragic loss of life and widespread panic. At least 11 climbers have lost their lives so far. The bodies of these hikers were recovered earlier today, along with 3 climbers who were successfully rescued. Meanwhile, 12 remain missing. Roughly 75 hikers were climbing to the 9,480-foot mountain when the volcano erupted, of which at least 49 have been safely evacuated. All of the climbers had registered at 2 command posts or online through West Sumatra's conservation agency before they went ahead with the climb. According to reports, search and rescue efforts have been hampered by continued volcanic activity in the area, forcing authorities to suspend operations temporarily for safety reasons. However, other reports indicate that the operations are underway. 160 rescuers are working to locate the 12 missing climbers. Their safety and evacuation remains a top priority for the rescuers. 8 climbers were rescued yesterday, while 3 more were saved today. They were rushed to hospitals to be treated for burns. One of the climbers even had a broken limb. The survivors are being treated at 2 hospitals in Padang Panjang and Bukit Tinggi. Social media visuals showed the hikers with their faces smeared with volcanic dust and rain. This disaster also highlights a disturbing pattern of recklessness. Despite being on high alert since 2011, with strict instructions prohibiting climbers within 3 kilometers of the peak, many chose to defy these orders, often venturing too close to the crater. Disregard for guidelines indicate a lack of caution turned what might have been a routine climb into a deadly ordeal. As of now, 2 climbing routes have been closed by the authorities. But it is not just the climbers who are facing the brunt of this volcanic eruption. The eruption has also had a major impact on nearby villages like Rubai and Goba Kumantiang. At least 1,400 people live on the slopes of Marapi. The nearest villages are merely 5 to 6 kilometers away from the peak, and these communities have been covered in ash. Authorities have distributed masks and urged residents to wear eye protection against the volcanic ash. Marapi's recent volcanic activity is being seen as part of a larger trend. The volcano has erupted regularly since 2004, with eruptions happening every 2 to 4 years. These eruptions, often sudden and difficult to detect due to the shallow source, but continue to pose a continual threat to the region. Indonesia, located on the Pacific Ring of Fire, is home to more than 120 active volcanoes. The Ring of Fire is an arc of volcanoes and fault lines encircling the Pacific Basin. This geological reality makes the country particularly vulnerable to seismic challenges. This highlights the need for constant vigilance and respect for guidelines. As of now, the loved ones of those missing are waiting for any news of their survival.
And well, now, are you good at charming people? How long does it take you to woo a potential partner? If you can flirt like a pro, then you may have some serious rizz. Yes, R-I-Z-Z. Rizz. Chances are this word might not have existed for you if you're not Gen Z. But the Oxford University Press has named it the word of the year. So what is rizz? Where does it come from? And do you have any? Well, the word rizz comes from charisma. It is an internet slang for romantic appeal or charm. And according to Oxford English Dictionary, it means style, charm, or attractiveness. It is your ability to attract a romantic partner. Now this year, rizz was used massively online. It was all over the social media. On TikTok, hashtag rizz garnered billions of views. As creative as ever, influencers and content creators posted thousands of reels and memes of rizz. Rizz had many genres. There was the physical rizz, the academic rizz, the unspoken rizz, and after a certain point, anything that helped someone woo a partner became a type of rizz. Rizzing someone up became a trend. So how did rizz end up becoming the word of the year? It was one of the 8 words on a shortlist. All of these words were chosen to reflect the mood, ethos, or preoccupations of 2023. The list was narrowed down in a public vote. Ultimately, Oxford made the final decision. But rizz had some serious competition from other words as well used this year. Now there were beige flags, Swiftie, situationship as well. Now if you're Gen Z, you probably already know, but for others, let me tell you what these words mean. While red and green flags are famously known, beige flag was a new addition. It defines a character trait or a habit perhaps, which indicates that a partner is boring, just like the color beige. Let me give you some examples. For one person, their partner's beige flag was always asking someone their astrological sign when meeting for the first time. For another one, it was their partner while making silly shooting noises when watching action scenes in a movie. You see, beige flag is neither good nor bad. It just lacks originality. Another word that went viral was Swiftie. Now this one has been around for a decade, if not more. All the Taylor Swift fans proudly call themselves Swifties. But this year, with Taylor Swift's Eras tour going strong, the word Swiftie was used with unparalleled enthusiasm. Which reminds me of another word that went viral. It's parasocial. It is a one-sided relationship that fans often share with public figures. It's a sense of intimacy that a viewer a follower or a fan comes to feel for a celebrity, to the point that they start considering themselves to be a friend. From what we could see on social media, a lot of Swifties had a parasocial relationship with Taylor Swift. After all, she has the music riz going on for her. Then there was the de-influencing. While influencing is a full-blown occupation, of course, now de-influencing is something new and unheard of. But simply, it is the opposite of influencing. De-influencers on social media discourage people from buying particular products. They promote reducing consumption of material goods. This was probably one of the few positive trends on social media this year. We also had a good old situationship on the list. It's a romantic or sexual relationship that is not considered to be formal. It needs to be established, and you would need riz for that, certainly. And well, if you thought the hottest trend for stress relief was yoga or meditation, well, it's time to steer your thoughts elsewhere. We're taking you to a place where cuddling cows is the main attraction, the udder delight, if you will. Welcome to Dumble Farm in northern England, where Murag, a Highland cow with a luscious caramel coat, is turning moodiness into happiness. Yes, you heard that right. Cuddling a cow is now looking like a wow. It all started in February when Fiona Wilson, the head farmer, realized that the milk business wasn't exactly creamy. So she took the bull by the horns and decided to offer something no one could resist: quality time with bovine buddies. And people are milking this opportunity, well, not literally, of course, but who knew that being head-butted gently by a cow could feel like a day at the spa? The unique transition from dairy to cuddly wasn't just for kicks. Fiona and her crew were facing the kind of challenges that make you say, holy cow. But now they're making more dough from cuddles than cows, and the cows, well, they're loving it as well. They're the queens of the barn, so as to speak. Now for £50, you too can hug a Highlander. And Stephen Clues, a recent visitor, says it really is cool, while his wife Emma finds it cuddly and like therapy.
It's just really nice. I'm fond of all animals, especially cuddly ones. So, yeah, being able to cuddle a big fluffy animal is really cool.
And they're so easy to brush. It's very therapeutic.
Well, if you go in
which I didn't think I would say.
While it's all fun and games at Dumble Farm, one can't help to wonder, with India boasting the world's largest cow population, could the cuddly cure cross continents? Well, are the therapy benefits exclusive to the British cows, or could an Indian cow offer the same mood-boosting magic? Perhaps it's time to explore if a cuddle from an Indian cow can cure the blues as well. Well, that's a wrap on Gravitas tonight, but we're leaving you with these visuals. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Love and peace from the heart of the world. Hope and peace in the Holy Land. Peace from Jerusalem.
We are one, you and I.